Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. Right, this video today is on this 2010 BMW X5, and this let me get the seat right because I'm a little bit right. So this car was dropped here a few days ago, or this Jeep, whatever you're gonna call it, this SUV has been dropped here a few days ago, and I've been working in the meantime. The Fiat is right there at the front now. He's waiting for parts. I'm waiting for the owner to bring me the parts. I think he's gonna make into a video. It is making into a video. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, this is not for that, it's for this. So BMW X5 2010, and right, let me take you a little bit through the story. If you don't want to hear the story, just skip forward. So I scanned this car, I would say about a month ago, and I only could scan the car. I couldn't do anything else at the time because the guy needed the car, or he didn't want to leave the car at the time. And I kind of established what the issue, well, I established what the problem was. I didn't establish what the root cause was, but I could see what the problem was, and I will show you in a second. But in the meantime, the car went somewhere to change the handbrake pads, which I believe on these things, so I was told, is not, the handbrake on this is not on the calipers, it's actually on the shoes, so I was told. And apparently, I'm not 100% sure, either they changed it without putting the handbrake system into service mode, or they didn't have the tool to calibrate. So something along, and I've run out of space on the phone, so back in business. So yeah, so something along those lines happened when the shoes and brake pads, whatever, were changed on this, and that created another issue, which, as you can see already in there. So let me start the car and show you exactly what the car has, and that will make more sense. So start this thing. So what you're gonna see is, okay, so we have that fault coming up. Just to tell you, handbrake doesn't work. Okay, and then we have that fault. Okay, so dynamic damping control. These guys was the initial fault with the car. That was the fault the car came with. The first time I've scanned it, it was with that fault in there, okay, and with that symbol in there, okay, as you can see, okay, and now I don't know if the handbrake is not calibrating because of the fault with the damping system, which these systems, they kind of rely on each other. They are sort of dependent of each other. So it could be that it's not possible to calibrate the handbrake until we have that sorted. I don't think I'm going to make the handbrake into a video, so I'm just going to quickly, I don't even have the maxi seals here yet. I'm just going to quickly plug in the maxi seals, see if I can calibrate the handbrake. If I can, fine. If I can't, then I will assume that this fault is preventing the calibration from being done. If that's the case, well, we're going to go for the damping, for the dynamic damping control. That's the initial problem with the car, and that's what this video most likely is going to be about. So the first thing for that, I already kind of have an idea what the problem is, or I know what the problem is, I just don't know why it's causing the issue again. But still, for the video purpose, we're going to scan the car. I'm going to take you through the scan so we can figure out together what the problem might be. Okay, just a quick update here for you guys that likes to know these things. So I'm not going to do anything with the handbrake. It's coming up with a 006034, which is a present fault. It comes on as soon if I clear the fault goes away. As soon as I try to pull the handbrake the first time, it does this. So it comes with a electromechanical parking brake actuating unit mechanical fault. So alright, so obviously this handbrake is a mess up from someone else that, again, unless I'm asked to look at it, I'm not going to do it. So the problem with this thing is, let's going to go to the electronic riding unit, and the fault for it's not this one, isn't it? It's dynamic drive, vertical. It's not the one. Or is the integrated? I can't even remember now. It might be this one, VDM. Let's see if it's that one. That controls the... I think it is. Let me see if it is. Okay, so there it is. So this is our fault. 00, so D7 6A and D7 6B. They are both faults are present, and it says vertical dynamics management message, status of left rear damper satellite and status of the right rear damper satellite. So it's basically saying that there is something wrong with the rear shock absorbers. Now this thing has 4 independent, well, they all have 4 independent dampers, but they are controlled electronically, individually on each module, so on each damper. So each damper has its own control module, if you will, but we'll get that later. I guess we'll get to that later. So let's gonna go back, and I think you are able to communicate independently with this. Oh, there we go. So front left, front right. So let's gonna go to the front left, and as you can see, we can communicate with the front left damper or shock absorber, whatever you want to call it, and there's no fault detected. Curiosity, let's gonna go to the front right. I know, guys, the problem was for the rears. I just want to see what we should expect when we go to the rear ones. So the rear ones are here. There we go. So left, right, and rear. And I think you guys can imagine what's going to happen. Boom. There it is. No communications with the left rear damper. That's going to go to the left right. And I think you guys can imagine what's going to happen here as well. And boom, there it is. So basically what have I done? So basically what the vertical dynamics management or dynamic drive, dynamic damping control, whatever that is. So basically those 2 faults that we have on this module for A and B, which is left and right or right and left. So basically what these fault codes, so status of the right damper. The status is basically, in this case, you can't get the status of the damper because there's no communications with the damper. So I think the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to try to, well, I'm not going to try. I'm going to get hold of diagrams. I want to see if there's anything that could affect both dampers at the same time. Could both dampers fail at the same time? Of course they could. But let's going to see if there's anything that stands out on the wire diagrams, and we'll go from there. Diagrams checked, and the only thing we have in common for both rear shock absorbers is the fuse that power them. So these shock absorbers, they have independent power front and rear, so there is a fuse that powers both front dampers, one that powers both rears. These dampers, the way they work is they have power and ground, and then they have a flex ray communication line to the module, So there's no CAN bus on this. Is flex array that goes to the module. Then the module communicates through CAN with the rest of the car. And I got interrupted, as I was saying. So there is power and grounds to each one, and then flex array to the module, etc. And then there is, it shows me on the diagrams, one connection between the rear and the front, and then the module. So it's like from the module to the front shock absorber, and then there is a splice that comes to the rear one. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe a wake-up line, perhaps. I'm not 100% sure. But the module lives in there, and the fuses should be in there as well. So the module, let me see if we get that. Should live here somewhere. By the way, I had to get these out to keep the battery, so I don't have to have these here running to keep the battery voltage. So there he is. Now the module, oh dear me. So the module, so this is going to be our module. Let me pull this module out actually. There he is. I can start to see the pinks and greens, which is the flex array, and this is my dynamics drive module. Okay, then my fuse is going to be my fuse 106 if I'm not mistaken. Actually, let me put the phone down. Okay, so let's put that like that. So fuse 106 is a 7.5. There's only two 7.5, so it's going to be either that one or that one. Let me see which one is 106. So, Mm-hmm. 106. So 106 is that one in there. It's that one here at the bottom. And for my surprise, or for our surprise, let me see if I can show you this. No, I really can. Maybe there. Can you see there? Maybe you can't. Maybe you cannot. But yeah, this fuse is gone. So now the question here remains: why did the fuse blown? So I'm going to put another fuse in there and see what happens. See if it blows, and we'll go from there. We might have a bad shock absorber. We might have a bad wiring somewhere that is, we don't know yet. So can only try. Let's put a new fuse and see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna use one of these resettable fuses, just in case if it blows. We're not gonna be here wasting fuses. So that's gonna put a 7.5. It doesn't fit, so I'm gonna need this little extension thingy. Is that one? Yep. And to put in there. And now the fuse here. Okay, for now it stayed on. So let's gonna go now to the back to the car. Put our ignition on. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's go back. So the dynamic thing hasn't popped that yet. Nothing here yet. It's gonna go just back on this module. Let's just read the codes again. So we still have, okay, so I think this, if this is correct, it points us out in the right direction. Let's just do this again. So if this is correct, the left rear damper satellite fault disappeared. We still have the one on the right, which to me means the right damper maybe has failed, and when it failed, it popped up it popped up. It blown the fuse, which obviously made both dampers to throw a fault. Now we should be able now to communicate with the left, but not with the right, I guess. Let's gonna go out and just confirm that. Oh, what have I done? I pressed something that I was not supposed to. Ah. Come on. Hurry up. I don't know. Yeah, that's the one I pressed. Okay, so rear. Boom. And we have communications with the rear now. And I'm gonna guess we still have no faults, no communications with that one. There it is. So I just don't know why it didn't throw a fault still with for the. There we go. So we have no faults. We have no communications with that one still. It's just strange it's not throwing a fault for the damping system, whatever that is. Vehicle information. It's still showing here. Yeah, it's still showing here, but it didn't sort of popped up when I turned the ignition on, but it's still showing in there that is still a fault with it. So, but here, guys, is now self-explanatory. So let's just recap these. What have I done? Very quickly. So just so I don't get these done wrong either. So we have a fault with my right rear. So right rear to me is going to be the rear driver side. So this side here. So are we going to proceed from here? Let me show you. Okay, and here we are, ready to do some testing. So here is my dumper. Okay, this is the control module on the dumper itself. This is going to be the valve that is controlled by this module. This is the a valve is an oil valve that opens and closes the oil circuit to obviously adjust the stiffness of the dumper. And there is two wires. So one wire or one cable is going to be my communication lines. The other cable is going to be my power ground, and another wire that, as I said, it goes from here to the front and then to the module, or vice versa. But there is a wire that connects both shock absorbers or dampers and into the module. So when you trace this down, you have two little boxes here. So this box is the one for the ABS and I believe wear part sensor, maybe. I think it is. And then right at the back you have another box. Can't really see it, where these cables are in these plugs. And that's the plugs we are looking for. So the blue plug, as you can see, there is my pink and green wire, flex ray. Then on this side we have the three wires, and we have the red and gray or white. We have the brown. So red and gray is going to be my voltage, brown my ground, and then this blue and black is going to be the wire I've just mentioned that connects both shocks and the module. So I'm going to try to place the phone somewhere where I can show you some of the measurements, but we're going to start with the basics, powers and grounds, and then communication lines. Okay, so I know you can't see the multimeter really, but I will tell you the readings that comes up. Although we're gonna plug this, we might gonna load test the circuit. So I'm gonna check powers and grounds here. See what we have. The ignition is on, by the way. One in there, and there. There we go. So we have 11.80 volts, which is my voltage at the battery. The battery is a little bit low. Let's gonna check my voltage. Let me get chassis somewhere. One of these things. So load test the voltage wire. There it is. We have voltage. Now let me test the ground wire, which we just need to do the opposite. I don't have the stuff here though. Will I have it? No, I don't. Hold on a second. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to plug the test light between my two wires on that plug. Okay, between these two wires, so like so, like that, and like that, and there we have 12 volts. So I know the load of this lamp is probably only a few milliamps, but should be okay. So now we have powers and grounds here, which is good. So now we're going to check flex array here. I think it's the first time I'm going to use my scope for flex array. I do really hope that my scope is fast enough. Just hold a second. Okay, don't ask me about the details about flex array, because I would have to go and check, update, refresh myself, because I don't know from the top of my head. I just know it's way faster than CAN. That's all I know. Okay, so we need a ground, which I'm gonna get. I need more cables. Hold on a second. Okay, we have a ground for the scope. Now the scope is still set, if I'm not mistaken, for the Fiat. When I've checked the CAN lines, so let's go there. There it is. Okay, so we do have flex array in there. Okay, which it sounds, I mean, it looks okay to me. I don't know what it says in there, but it looks like what I was expecting to see on a flex array line. So now my diagnostic is done and completed. We have a bad shock absorber that's gonna need replacing. That's all it is. We have powers, we have grounds. We should have, I might need to check. No, but that wake-up line, that little wire, let me just check if we have continuity from there to the module. We don't have an issue with the front one, which but it could be something. Let me just double check. Okay, and should be pin 18 on this green plug. So again, now I'm going to repeat myself. The diagrams shows me this wire goes from here to the rear shock absorber. There's a splice inside here somewhere that goes to the front one. So we have nothing wrong with the front one because we have communications with it. So we're just going to check that we have a good wire from here. I believe that's a wake-up line, maybe. So it's pin 18. Let's see. There we go. Let me just show you. We have 0.3 ohms. So there's nothing wrong with that wire, and surely there's nothing wrong with the signal from this wire. Otherwise we'd have an issue with the front shock absorber as well, which we don't. So my diagnostics is now 100% done. We have a bad shock absorber, repeating again, and we're gonna have to get another one. These things are not cheap, so we'll see what the owner wants to do. Okay, something really strange just happened. So as you've seen, guys, so I had the resettable fuse, so I took that off, put a normal 7.5 amp fuses. If you remember, the module was disconnected for us to do those measurements. Just plug it back in, and then what happened was, when I've done that, I came here at the front, and I've done a oh dear me, and I've done a scan to the vertical dynamics management, and for my surprise I had no communications with both rear shock or dampers again. I thought, really? So I went at the back and plugged everything again. Sorry, I'm lying now. I was doing that with the ignition on. So what I've done then was I turned off the ignition. I cycled the ignition basically. And when I read the codes again, I had both rear shocks faults in there, but they were both absent. So I thought, really? So I came here. So let me show you the left. So we have communications with the left. And now when I go to the right, I should be here somewhere. Rear, it keeps moving pages, I don't know why. So rear, so right rear, which was the one that we had no communications with. What just happened? Now, I have a theory, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm correct. So, I have a theory that whatever made that fuse to blow, could it be that is that solenoid, that valve at the bottom of the shock absorber that is failing, and at some point he made the fuse to blow, and when he did that, and when I put the fuse back in, the good fuse again, he needed some sort of a reset to the actually VDM module, and that happened when I cycled the ignition, maybe, or when I had unplugged, maybe. I'm just really confused, and I'm not convinced that this is fixed. I have a feeling that whatever made that fuse to blow is going to go again. So if it's the valve, I've been here trying to change from comfort to sport mode, because that should make, I think it should make that solenoid to move its position. I've done it a few times already, and I've been here on and off, because you can see here on the live data. I'm just not convinced. I think whatever made it to blow is going to happen again. So I've been here from sport to comfort, as you can see in there, and it's still not make the fuse to blow or any faults to come back. So we still have communications with all 4 shock absorbers. I'm really confused, but I have a feeling that this is going to happen again, and I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. Checking wiring, the wiring looks good. I can't see nothing wrong. I've been inspecting the cables, etc. Everything looks okay. So I don't know. It could have been a fluke that could have made that fuse to blow. It could have been, but I don't know. I really don't know. And from a really, I was really convinced of my diagnostics. Now I'm just baffled. I don't know. So I think what we're going to do at this point is we're going to move into the next problem, which I'll do a separate video for it. And then I think I'm going to put the car, I'm not going to put everything back on, like the wheel arch liner, inner liner, etc. I might just put the wheel and going to go for drive, see what happens. But while I have the car in the air, we're going to tackle the end brake problem. So that's what we're going to do next. And I think on this particular video, we'll carry on when I'm ready to go for a test drive to see what happens. But I don't know. I can't say this is fixed, because whatever made that fuse to blow it might just gonna happen again. So, oh well. It's one of those things, really. Okay, so the end brake is fixed. I will leave the link for that video in the description below. I'm not sure which video is going to come first. Either way, once that video is published, or if it's been already, I will update the link. I will update the description of this video. So the handbrake is fixed, and I think what I'm going to do now, regards to this problem with this suspension, is I'm going to go for a test drive. So what I've done is I put the wheel back on. I didn't put the liner or any of the plastic bits, so I literally just put the wheel should be enough for us to go for a test drive. The weather is good, it's not rainy or anything like that, so it's not like it's going to be splashing water everywhere. We put everything back in place in there other than this, and we're going to go for a test drive. I want to see what the car does if when I change from comfort to sport, etc. I'm going to try to use and abuse the suspension, try to see if I can make that solenoid. I think the solenoid only moves when it changes from sport to comfort. I might be wrong, it might be that there is other circumstances where that solenoid at the bottom is activated. I think the only thing that could, well, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that is the thing that could probably overload the circuit, is that solenoid, if it's failing, could overload the circuit. So yeah, we're going to do that and see where we get. So let's go and unplug the charger and go for a test drive. Right, so I've been now driving this thing for the last, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, and I've been here literally putting this thing in many different situations. I still have no faults. So what I've done is, you can see this ditch here. So this one is actually kind of a water canal at the bottom, but back there, right at the beginning of this road, and then there's some on the other side of the village where you have this sort of ditch, but these sort of steep ramps, but then they go into the field. And what I've done is I've been putting the Jeep like just with one wheel, so to twist completely the chassis, every single wheel, turning around, put the other way, putting just the front wheels, back wheels. So what I've been trying to do, and by doing this, changing from sport to comfort, which I believe this is what makes that solenoid to change position, to soften or harden the suspension. There's some bumpy roads around here as well, as you can probably see, and you can definitely feel the difference when you change from sport to comfort. I would say how bouncy or how soft the car the car gets when it's on comfort mode, and how hard of a ride it goes to when you select sport mode. I've also been changing from comfort to sport when I'm actually in these positions where the car is completely twisted. Was a point where I think one of the rear wheels pretty much go into the air, because I got into the corner with the front wheel like sort of like that, and then it twisted that much that actually rear wheel got into the air, and then I was changing from sport to comfort in that position, which obviously the damper on the opposite side is going to be really under pressure to make that valve to activate under pressure. I've tried everything I could think of, guys, and it's driving fine. The fault never came back on. So guys, I don't know, it could have been that it was just a fluke. It could have been another thing that we don't always consider. It could have been that moisture throughout the years go inside that fuse, weakened the actually fuse part of the fuse, and it got to be weaker and weaker, and it just blown. But in the end, the strange thing was that we had to completely depower the module in a way, or at least that's when I managed to get communications with everything, because once I put the fuse back in, the module, the damper should have started to communicate with the module, and still not. Only when I depowered the module, which happened because I wanted to check the other line, that sort of wake up line, whatever that is, and I had to unplug the module completely. Only then, and after put it back on, and after reset or whatever I did, I can't even remember anymore, only then the module actually started to communicate with the dampers. So that's really strange, but it's running fine. So it could have been many things, because of the delay I have on my videos, guys, which at the moment is over 12 months, is over a year. What we'll do is, I'm going to wrap up this video here now, and I'm actually going to do the following. Okay, and what I wanted to do was start on a fresh clip, because if I'm going to try to keep all these clips on the phone for at least 13-14 months, which is about the delay I have now on my videos. So if this thing comes back in the meantime, I will be able to just go on the previous clip and continue to record this repair. but at the moment this is running fine. There's nothing else I can do. The battery on this thing is a little bit low, because when I was at home, ignition on, with my power supply, or with my power supply, battery charger, whatever you want to call it, plugged in, it wouldn't go above 11.8, 11.9 volts. It never got to 12 volts. So I think the battery is a little bit low as well. But that's a different story. So it could have been many things. I don't know the background. Maybe they tried to jump start the car. Who knows? I really don't know, guys. It could have been many things. But yeah, as you've seen throughout the video, we were kind of going into the right path to replace that strut, which at the moment looks like it would have been a really bad move, and expensive, by the way. I rang BMW, just curiosity now, I rang BMW. They don't have these things in stock. They are actually in back order at the moment. So we are in September 2022, and they are in back order for the end of November 2022, and that's the arrival to Germany. The guy at the BMW told me then will take another couple of weeks to arrive, and that is not even set in stone. That's just what he saws on his system, and they cost £800 each one of the rear ones. Found them on eBay for about £300 used, obviously. Would be a better choice, most likely, but at the moment, guys, it looks like I nearly messed it up, but luckily we decided to unplug that module, and we got to where we are. I think it's a lesson that sometimes maybe a reset of the modules is always a good thing to do, which basically is what we did by depowering completely the module, by unplugging it completely. That's what we did. We did like a reset to the module, if you will. So it might be that is a good lesson here. And guys, from these backfields, I think we're gonna wrap up this video for now. So I don't know, tell me what you think, guys. Tell me what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. And again, I do these things, do these mistakes, so you don't have to. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. If you do have any questions, any comments, put them below. And like always, thank you for watching.